We're back. Coaching Life Podcast is back. I am Chris Stewart, and I'm here with my good buddy, Coach Pat Martin. Still rocking the maroon and gold, I see.
Yep.
That's good.
They
Haven't fired you yet.
They upped me for another year.
We've got.
They actually are give me more responsibilities.
Well, your basketball responsibility is now complete.
It is for the season.
Guys had a good finish, I thought. Even though it was a loss, it felt like they played pretty hard the other night in the district semifinal.
I do. I think we played a really good second half. First half, probably not as proud of, and I think the players would tell you that as well. But
there was a run or two that got, you had like 11-point deficit, I felt like, at one point.
Yeah, we were down 11 in the first, and it kind of like, when you get down like that, it seems like playing at the combo game. When you get down 11, it seems like it's hard to come back from that.
Sure.
Like, you don't see teams do that often, so it's kind of like, ugh. But we did fight back, but then I think we were down 12 late in the third.
Yeah.
We went on another run in the fourth. So, Washington Courthouse, really good team.
I think it was 30 seconds left in the game, and you were only down 4.
Yes, I think so.
Because I remember.
Then we ended up being down 6 with
free throws.
Very
when you need to foul and they shoot free throws. Yeah. Tell you what, having a foul at the end of a game in tournament ball, like y'all's game, your game was an hour and 15 minutes? It was done because there wasn't any whistles. Yeah, there weren't any whistles. I mean, I saw kids take 4 steps.
Well, we won't talk about the officials on the podcast today.
Allie looked at me. She's sitting there and she goes, do they not call traveling anymore? And I said, honestly, Allie, I don't know if they intentionally talk about it, but I have noticed this for the last several years in high school basketball. There just is no more traveling.
Yeah, they do.
You got to be egregious. You got to be really egregious, I feel like. Don't you think?
Maybe. I thought there was a really...
And at the end of the game, when the guy did a jump stop, like he's standing with the ball, pivoted. And he jump stop pivoted, and man, that was crucial because that was a 3-point game at that point.
Yeah.
And it turned into a layup, a 5-point game.
It did. It turned into a layup. Yep. Yeah, but we had a good perspective about that. Like our players weren't blaming the officials or anything like that. We
you could tell. I felt like you guys, the mentality was pretty strong. I mean, that I didn't see a lot of palms up, with fouls. Of course, there wasn't very many fouls. When there's not very many whistles, I guess. You see the palms up sometimes when a guy thinks he gets fouled. And honestly, Carson was getting hammered. Your big guy was getting hammered.
And it's funny because I'm sitting there on the bench saying, he's getting hammered. But it's kind of been that way all year. And we've seen that. I think people that watch the NBA, maybe college with certain players, if you're bigger than everybody else, it seems like you carry that burden a little bit.
Right.
Like people can get away with a little bit more on you than what they should because you are so much bigger. And that's kind of been the thing on Carson all year.
True. Yeah.
And I thought there was a few fouls on number 30. He was Washington Courthouse's guy that early
could shoot.
If those were called, that would have really changed the outcome of the game. I thought he got away with a few, but
if they would have had to take him out for a few minutes because say he got 3 fouls in the first half because he was their guy. I mean, You're right.
But I think Courthouse and Uniota is going to be a really good district final there. I think they play third. Yeah, I think they play Thursday. That'll be a really good district final to watch. So
cool.
But yeah, it was a good time.
But you know what it means? It's baseball season.
Well, it's been baseball season.
Yeah. Well, we talked about that last time. The overlap, right?
The guys coaches were laughing, saying you're about putting in an 8-hour day at the school. And but it was just for a short period of time, so you can handle it. And I've done that before. Right. I actually don't feel the last time I tried to do this, I felt a lot more tired. Like I feel like I've kind of figured it out a little bit. You know
like a pattern of
like how to handle it. You know what I mean? This because you got to think. Well, check this box, check this box, check this box. When you first do it, it's like there's all this stuff I got to figure out. I feel like I have it figured out, so I'm not as tired. I feel pretty good. Going into the season,
Good deal.
Baseball's it's a grind too. So we'll see how I feel.
It is
in June.
My throat's been sore for a week. Just constantly talking at a loud voice to try to get guys' attention about things, and it was really Saturday when we were outside scrimmage and we were kind of staying on top of everything.
Yeah, we didn't go Saturday. All right.
Beautiful day, buddy.
Oh, it was. Friday was nice too. We went Friday, was outside. That's the only day we've been able to be outside.
We went out Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday last week.
You did. Yeah. But we were late. We were going late because basketball was practicing after school. So that is the.
Also, you continued to practice.
I did.
Okay.
Yep, I was there. So that's probably the catch in that situation.
Yeah.
But people's done it, right? People's been varsity basketball coaches and varsity baseball coaches for years at a time.
Yeah.
To do this, doing the same thing. So it definitely works out. But we started. I think we've been getting some good work in. I'm pretty happy where we're at right now.
Yeah.
From the opportunities we've had.
Right. I felt like it was a weird week of practice just because we had.
Yeah, you had guys
maybe 2/3 of our team there.
Yeah, you had guys out to basketball
and sick.
When we had guys basketball and wrestling.
Yeah,
and I've still got guys wrestling. 4 right now are waiting. They're wrestling in the district this Saturday at Coshocton. So
good deal.
Still waiting on guys, which is odd too. It doesn't happen. But talked about that. Yeah, it's not good that it's like you want that. You want your
right. Oh yeah,
you
of course.
You want to be waiting on basketball players and wrestlers because
it means they're having success.
And if they're having success, they're probably decent athletes. They're
right.
probably going to help you. So if you're never waiting on those guys, it's probably not a good thing.
It's true. It's true.
What do you like about wrestlers? Do you have any wrestlers
what
on
do
your
I like
team?
about wrestlers?
Do you have any wrestlers on your team?
Not this year.
Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't had many, but I've had a few. And Joey Young, Joey.
Yep.
He was a wrestler.
Yep.
They had Megs don't do many home wrestling meets. I wish they would. I love going to wrestling meets. They're long, but I love watching those girls and guys compete because they're
gritty.
They're gritty. That's why I wouldn't mind if all my baseball players wrestled.
Yep.
Because I like that. I like that in them.
Speaking of that, we have a topic for today.
Yep. That was a segue.
And it may not have been a segue in the way that you thought, because I've got a story for you to illustrate today's topic. Right. There was a young man that I coached that was on Brock's, I believe it was his 15U summer baseball team. He was a wrestler.
Okay. And
just chiseled, like, not big bulky muscles, but just not a bit of body fat on him. You could tell he was just strong. And he didn't, from a baseball standpoint, a baseball skills standpoint, he didn't stand out at all. He didn't, like, when you saw him at tryouts, it didn't seem like he was going to be a really great baseball player per se. Batting practice, he looked fine. You just didn't know what he was going to be like. But one of the things we've quickly discovered is when we started playing games. Initially, we stuck this guy, 8-hole, 7-hole. He's fast. He could, center field. He could track a ball. So we put him in the outfield. I'm not sure if he started in center field at the beginning of the year, but he was in the outfield. But we started noticing pretty quick, this dude's helping us win games, because he would get on base. It didn't look pretty. It did not look pretty at all. He would get on base, and when he got on base, he would find ways to advance to the next base. And he just always seemed to be one step faster in the outfield, like balls that were landing in gaps with other guy in the other gap, he would get to it in his side. And it just, you could hand the kid, he found a way to get things done. Like he anticipated what the pitch was going to be. Like it's like, what is it about this guy? Like, what is it? Like what, like somebody, I remember a coach looking at me and saying, what is it that makes this kid so good? He's a decent athlete for sure, but it wasn't the tools, it wasn't the skill, but he did understand the game. Like he was one of those kids that you would almost think that he grew up playing baseball without any coaches, right? Like he just had a feel for the game. He had what we will call an awareness. He was just aware constantly of where to be, at what time, when the ball was going to be hit. Like the anticipation was there. And so like we were talking this morning about what to talk about on the podcast, and I threw out this idea of just situational awareness. Like people talk about situational awareness. It's good to have that when you're in public. We teach our daughters that, and when you're walking around, just kind of be aware, anticipate. When we teach our kids when you're driving, right? Drive defensively, like in your mind. You don't want to think morbidly, but in your mind, think, if this car starts coming left to center, what do I do?
Right.
Or if an animal runs out in front of me, what do I do?
Yeah, be tactical.
Have an awareness of your surroundings so that you're anticipating things, and
ultimately you want that to be a natural feel, so that you can
100%.
You just do it without thinking about it. You just know.
Yes.
You're just aware.
What a valuable resource, a valuable characteristic to have in sports.
Yeah. Yeah. So our topic is how we create that in our players.
Well, I think before we finish, we should get to that. Don't you think?
I got you.
Like how to coach it, but maybe define a little bit about what it is, and what I mentioned something like about this particular guy, about him always being in the right place.
Yep.
Like, and even, this guy was fast, but even, you've probably had players on your teams. I know I have. I had Brock's entire class may have had 2 kids that were fast in it. In fact, it was our leadoff hitter in our 9-hole. Everybody else was slow. But they had awareness. We stole bags, and
they anticipated.
We played some small ball. Heck,
Yes.
we won a game. We won a regional semi against Waverly playing small ball. We just kind of flipped the script on one another. They hit the crap out of the ball in the first inning, and went up 4 runs. And this was in 2016, Brock's junior year. And we were a team that usually hits the crap out of the ball, but we started nickel and diming a little bit, and kind of got back into the game that way. And you can't do that with slow kids unless there is this anticipation.
Well, you got to have a little bit of that, even as a fast kid. If you're if you're not good at that,
it doesn't matter if you're fast.
Right? Yeah, for sure. Let me ask you this: when you teach rundowns, this is a common. I think this is the first thing that's just popping into my head as an example. You teach rundown. Do you teach bail to the throw side in general?
As in once you throw the ball, peel off and go back where you came from, or peel off and replace the guy that you threw it to.
Either way, when you peel, which way do you peel to?
The side that you threw it to.
Right, typically. Yeah. But if that runner is deep in the infield and you've set up, your second baseman or first baseman are set up at the baseline, and they're beyond that baseline. You're going at that. You're probably not going to redirect. You're not going to make that throwing lane on the other side of that runner. You're going to keep it at the baseline. And in that situation, you're not going to bail to the throwing side because you're bailing towards the runner.
Right.
You're going to bail to the inside.
Right.
And that's in my mind. I'm thinking we actually covered that the other day. I'm thinking what I said was, to be a good baseball player, there's a way to play the game. 90% of the time, but that other 10% of the time, you just got to be a baseball player.
Yeah.
And you got to make the right decision and know that what you're doing is the right thing to do, even though it's not typically.
Because you don't have time to think about the rule.
Right.
in that in that rundown situation. It's
Right.
really if you're having to go through your mind, okay, which side am I supposed to be on right here?
Right.
Like a catcher and a first baseman on a let's say a drop third strike, which depending on which direction the ball goes, you're going to be calling inside or outside, throwing the baseball to the inside or the outside of the running lane, and you don't have time. Let's say it lands right in the middle of the baseline.
Yeah.
You don't have time to think about what the rule is. You just
gotta go.
you gotta you gotta have a feel.
Yep.
You gotta understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could be beneficial. You're more ready when you have that awareness. I said anticipation earlier. I think that's a big part of baseball is being able to anticipate what's going to happen next, and because we talk about the in between moments.
Yeah.
There's a lot of non-action in the game of baseball.
That's a big key, I think, of how to get it, like of how to coach it, or how to, as a player, how to get this awareness, how to get that, and that is, one is you can tell whether or not a team has a group of kids with this quality by watching their dugout and seeing how many of them in the dugout are studying the game and engaged in a way that is trying to learn more than just sitting the bench, right?
Yeah, so we're going to a different spot now.
Sort of, yeah.
I think, because originally when you brought this up, I'm like, can't really do it. Can't teach it.
Yeah, I asked you. I told you. I said I'd like to. I'm looking forward to learning in today's podcast. I can't wait to learn from you because there, every team has guys that you kind of feel like you got to teach awareness to.
Yeah.
I've got some guys like that. We got to teach some baseball IQ too this year.
And I think it's more prevalent now.
Yes, I
than
agree.
What it was 20 years ago, and I think there's two reasons for that. For whatever reason, first is not as many kids watch baseball. Or watch sports.
It's true.
They don't watch the game and see what happens and oh, this guy did that in that situation. This guy did that. They're not studying the game. You brought that up, being in the dugout. They're not a student of the game.
Because we would study it without realizing that we were studying it, right? Just by watching it. Yeah,
absolutely. And then the other side to that is, you said earlier, it looked like the kid played his whole life without coaches.
Yeah.
Well, that's probably the best way to develop situational sports IQ.
Yeah.
Is that you experience.
Yeah, the irony is he did not have the same skill level. The mechanics and those pieces for him were not pretty. Like they were not like he was like, when you watch him, you're like, that's not a baseball player. That's an athlete who's on the baseball field. But we had kids that had pretty mechanics also. And some of those kids, were good baseball players. Some of them just had pretty mechanics.
We've talked about that before. You can have great mechanics and not be great. And I would rather have the opposite.
Oh, 100%.
If you give me
you're going to win with that kid.
Yeah. If you have great mechanics, but not a great approach, I would say, to summarize it, you may not be that good.
Yeah.
But if you have a great approach and you don't have good mechanics, you could be good.
It's true.
But you can't, I think you have to have one and not the other. You know what I mean? It's the mechanics that could be pushed away, which I know a lot of baseball instructors and baseball guys in general probably don't like to hear that opinion because the mechanics are prime. But I agree with that. Like, I want you to have great mechanics too. But if you make me pick
100%.
one, it's the approach, it's the mental makeup.
Yeah.
Your awareness, the way that you play the game is more important than how you look playing it. I think we've seen that time and time again.
Yeah, we have.
I did say so. I think giving our kids opportunities. And I don't know how we do it. We talked about our player development program. That's what started way back.
That's what started this podcast.
If you're just now listening, if this is your first episode, if you go back to episodes 1 through 7,
we're kind of going back to that today.
Yeah, we're kind of going back to it. But even this, I wish we lived in a world where we could just organize the opportunity for guys to get together to play Sunday ball, which is something that you guys did when you were at Athens. just get them together to play. It doesn't have to be organized, and it doesn't have
Right.
to, you
Right.
don't have to, the teams don't have to have team uniforms or anything like that.
Yep.
You get out there and play. That's what, Coach Huffman, me and Coach Huffman, how me and Coach Huffman know each other?
Playing a little sandlot ball.
We played wiffle ball
Yeah.
all the time. He would come to my house and play. I would go to his house and play. We'd go to our other buddy Daniel Hannon's house and play. They were all different fields. Like we had a little circuit that we.
Yeah.
And that's how we got
We
to
did
know
that
each
with
other.
all the sports that we played.
We did.
Like
We
I
really
played
did.
3 sports growing up: football, basketball, and baseball.
Yeah.
And we did the same thing. We'd find a yard.
You'd
We'd play in this guy's yard. We'd play football.
You
and
played tackle football in a little 30 by 30
100%.
area. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I still point out yards to my kids when we drive to Middleport to visit my parents. Man, I can't believe I played entire games of football in this little yard over here. Yeah. Concrete sidewalk sometimes that you'd run into. Guys would go home all scraped up and everything.
Yes.
But it was you learn how to deal with injuries.
You learned a lot of things.
Yeah, you
in
did.
those settings.
Yeah. Sometimes you learn how to fight.
Yeah. You learn I would say settle differences, but
Settle differences. That's what it was. Yes.
But yeah, and I don't know. I think we need more of that. I just don't know how to nurture it. Stuff. And
Hopefully we get there today.
well, I don't know.
Before
that
our
we're
cameras
gonna- I don't
die.
know that we're
I got distracted there for a second when you were talking because your camera, which is right here, it went into AI mode all of a sudden, and it just started like people were walking around behind.
Oh.
Like AI, like the AI tracking is going to pick up like it's if you
So I need to move
if you move. I turned it off, but I think like it's going to when it turns blue, it goes into it. This is a really uninteresting part of the podcast, but it just switched to it for some reason, and then it was looking for people. So
maybe it just explains why it was.
yeah.
there.
We're just experimenting with some new equipment, and we've had a little bit of trouble the last couple podcasts, and so we might just go back to the old tried and true way of doing the podcast.
I don't know.
They look good. Looks good. So
Looks like it takes you a little bit to set it up. It's a good thing I'm always late.
yes, I have. Well, it doesn't matter. Like we sit here and chat for 45 minutes before we even get on the podcast anyway. So I have one of the things that. Well, first of all, I mentioned something about this kid, in my narrative illustration in the beginning, of how people always seem to notice that he was faster than everybody else, but he may not have been faster than everybody else, but he got there quicker. And I think that's one of the things about awareness is that you may not be put it this way, the quickest player on the field is the one who usually started moving first. It's not always the one who actually is the quickest, but that person started moving first, and so it appears that they're the quickest.
Yeah. I would say aggressive is a good term
Yes.
to describe that. We've talked about that with younger kids. Like normally it's the strongest, most aggressive kids that stand out as your best players in youth ball.
Yeah,
I think the weight room does that for you.
100%.
I think it gives you,
Yeah.
like, it doesn't just make you stronger and faster legitimately, but it also gives you that initiative.
Yeah, it'll create. Right.
We had a kid, my first year of coaching, always probably the slowest kid of the group, and a kid that we had that was always the fastest kid of the group, and in the same group, and we did 60 times, and dumbest thing ever. Anyways, there is a movement, by the way, of going away from that, but now
There is.
Now
You're right.
Now I've been my brain's been washed with the 60-yard because the argument is we've done it for so long that
That's
easy.
the measurement.
You measure it that
Yeah.
way, right? But anyways, we did it, and the historically slow kid, was faster than the historically fast kid. And they're like, no way, that's possible. No, that's possible. And it was because he had spent the last year in the weight room.
Wow. Yeah.
Getting stronger,
It does
losing
make a
weight, and gaining that aggression and just the explosiveness.
Well, and that also when you get stronger, a lot of times you gain weight, and the irony is you get faster.
right.
Right? Like you ever seen guys go to the NFL Combine and they weighed in at, maybe 215 and ran a 4.4, but then after their first year in the NFL, they put on another 20 pounds, another 225, and they're running a 4.3 or something. But they've actually gained weight, but they've gained muscle explosion, and created more athleticism. Really, that's what Mike Ripto talks about is power. That's what the weight room gives you. It creates for you. It creates power. Mm-hmm. And what do we want in a sport like baseball? You want power.
Yep.
Absolutely want power.
Yep. And the quicker you initiate that, but I think a mindset, is.
Yeah.
It all comes back to mindset and just knowing I'm going to.
Well, you develop a better mindset about things. You develop more confidence is developed when you know that you can. When I know that I can, then I'm going to be more confident.
True.
Yeah.
True. So one of the thinking, after I was convicted because I said it's impossible to do this. But I think we're doing it now. We talked about putting our guys in live situations, and practicing that situation.
Yeah,
I think that's one way that you can help this. Obviously, you're never going to get away from the experience, the years and years of experience of playing, and
right.
Studying the game
yes.
that you're playing.
Yes,
like you can't beat that. If you're playing it and you're studying it, the longer you do that, the more I think the better your awareness will be. But the reality is, as a high school coach, even as any coach, you have the kid where they're at.
Yeah.
You have to start where they're at.
Yeah.
And so what do you do to help nurture that? And I think one of the things that you can do is put them in situations you think they might experience during games, so that they anticipate it, they're ready, and they know that reaction becomes more natural.
Yeah, there's a coaching point right there. Is creating situational drills, or like you said, like baseball. There's a simple way to do that, is to do like a situational infield outfield, right? Situational fungo scrimmage, perhaps. You put runners on base. You control it. You control the narrative and the scenario.
So we
you
did
say,
last Friday.
Here's what we've got. Yeah, yeah.
A little bit.
And runner on first base, one out. Pause and before I throw this ball up and hit it, I want everybody to pause. Remind yourself how many outs. Where's the base runners? Where do I go when a ball's hit to me on the ground? Where do I go when the ball's hit to me in the air? Where am I going to go if a ball's hit in the gap? And gets behind me. Those are outfielders. Infielders, same thing. And everybody go through those situations. And again, it's a lot to think about in a 3 to 5 second window, or that window is getting smaller in the game of baseball because everybody's wanting us to speed up, right? And so there's a lot that a player has to think through in order to be able to react without going, okay, which one of the scenarios is this?
Yep, especially if you waste any of that time.
Yeah.
With any thought.
Yes.
Whether you're thinking about something that's not about, it has no relevance to the game, or you're thinking about a bad
what
play,
happened just a second ago.
Struck out last at bat, made an error, we're down, whatever it is, the umpires stink, whatever it is you're thinking about that's not productive to what you're going to do next.
Or just thinking about nothing.
Or just
sometimes sometimes I ask guys, what are you thinking about when you're out there? And they can't tell me sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's just because they're not. You're not thinking. And sometimes there are times when that benefits you as well. I think sometimes when you're up to bat, you got to remove some of the things that you think about and just have a little open focus. Yeah.
There's probably a threshold there. I think you got to have a plan.
100. Well, yeah,
it's the
100%.
same thing. You can't be thinking,
because you have to have the same situational awareness, right? How many outs, how many strikes,
yep. Where are the runners?
Because it's not just my at bat; it's my team's at bat.
Sure. Yeah.
A lot going on.
I got another one.
All right.
You have to be confident in your preparation a little bit. I think the boy that you were talking about was very confident that
he
knew how to make good things happen. He may not have understood the game necessarily, but he knew that from an effort perspective, if I do this, normally I succeed.
Yeah.
And that forced him to do better. So he had a confidence in the way that he played, because that's the way he played.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I think, giving some ownership to our players in, what do you think you need to be better at? What are we good at?
Yeah.
What do we need to do today? What do we need to do this week? Things like that to give them, to allow them to control it, to own it, will make them more confident in their training and their practice habits and what they're prepared for. And if they're more confident in it, they'll be more confident in the situation that they're in.
100%.
Which it kind of falls. But that's what we do for the live. I mean, we want to replicate that for live situations too. Like when we put the kids in live situations and practice those situations, that's what we're trying to do, is get them confident in that moment. But at the same time, I think if they have that ownership, they're going to feel more confident in what they've done.
Yeah. So you're saying just one practical way, just to ask them questions constantly.
Yeah.
Get them thinking about it. Like, what's the situation right now? Where do I go?
Not only that, I think like last year I did this, and I think I'll do it again. Is we had leadership groups.
Okay.
In one of our leadership group, we had a practice leadership group. So they would, if there was any suggestions or
gave them some ownership of the practice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which you don't forfeit all the control in that situation, but just to allow them to kind of direct, where they're going and what they need to work on and things like that. I think it helps kids to feel like they've. They have that, and from a team perspective, a culture perspective, I think it does some good work too. And
it does.
The experience belongs to them. It's
right.
their experience. It's not my experience.
Right.
It's your experience. So get the most out of it.
That's the whole. One of the things we're talking about here that we need to do and make sure that we're getting. One of the things that we need to do to help with this is make sure that we're helping them with decision making.
Yes.
So like you're giving them, you got a practice leadership group, and so they're making decisions, right? And so like what the idea is how do we coach not just running drills and running going from this practice station to that practice station, but how do we coach decision making, right? Like, because that's what this comes down to. Awareness comes down to making the right decision,
right?
Or sometimes it just comes down to making a decision. I was telling our guys this past week, I was reminding them. I've always told catchers this, that the only thing that's going to get you in trouble with me is if you don't make a decision. Let's say on a bunt play, you got a runner on first base, someone lays down a bunt, your pitcher's coming in to field it, and he's got his back to the play. He's got his back to where the base runner between first and second, so he doesn't know if he's got time to get that guy. The catcher's got to communicate that to him. And I said the only way you can get in trouble with me is if you make no decision, because one of the things that happens with I think players is they don't want to make the wrong decision, and so they make no decision. And the worst thing you can do is to not make a decision. So at least say, I told him, I'm like, guys, if you say 2-2-2 and the pitcher wheels around, throws to second, and it's not in time, yeah, it's a learning experience for you, for all of us. But I'm not as upset because you made an early call, right? And sometimes I make bad decisions, but it's when we don't make any decisions and have any communication, that's when things get that's where we don't want to be, basically.
So you put them in that situation and allow them to make it as much as you can.
Yeah, absolutely.
So in the game, you don't want them to learn, you want them to learn that as much as they can in practice. So you simulate that situation that they're going to feel in a game in practice as much as you can, and have them make the decision.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yeah, I saw the camera pop the blue there.
Yeah, I know. Buddy, we're not using these anymore. It's driving me nuts.
You're doing a great
I'm
job.
over here controlling everything, trying to make sure cameras are on us and all that. So we need a producer.
There's got to be a way.
Well, supposedly the way is to use the AI producer, and you don't have to worry about it. Well, the AI producer's on drugs today. Apparently,
it's not focused. It's not focused.
No, yes, it absolutely. There's no awareness. These cameras have no awareness whatsoever.
The last thing I have down here, which all these things kind of overlap one another, and it's like we're trying to generate the same thing from the same scenario, but competition, being a competitor. I would say that kid.
Yes.
If you just to describe that kid, it wouldn't surprise me if you would describe him as a competitor, someone that wanted to compete.
Yeah.
One of the example that
A
you
winner.
gave.
Yeah. Somebody.
Yeah. And so, that's kind of like live situations. We're going to have a winning team and a losing team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Knowing what you're going to do, or having the playing. If you're out playing without coaches and without that organization, what are you playing for? You're playing to win. You know what I mean? And allowing that, wanting to win to drive your learning experience. So the competition drives your learning experience. Wanting to, having that desire to compete. And I've seen it. Like, I feel like maybe it's a little bit, most of my experiences with youth baseball,
Yeah.
and some other youth sports, but I've coached younger kids more than I've coached older kids at this point in my life. And I feel like I've seen this my whole life, but really I'll just attribute it to, faster, stronger, more aggressive kids, and not necessarily kids that want to win more. But the more I've coached, I've seen either a strong desire to compete or a lack of desire to compete. And it really stands out.
It does.
You know what I mean?
You're right.
It really helps these, the kids that have that strong desire. Really, I'll give it Griff Cleland.
And
Griff Cleland played baseball his junior year and had a great season for us. And he hadn't played since he was, I think, 10. But
it's hard to do.
He's a stinking competitor, man.
Yeah.
Like, he goes out there and he wants to win. You know what I mean? He wants to do well. He wants to win. That's why he's there. And I think we won a conference title that season that he came out. I think he came out for the opportunity to win a conference title. That's why he wanted to be on the team. That's why he wanted to play.
Yeah.
So, that's what he did. But, just, there's kids like that you have that competitive spirit. When you step up in the box, if you're willing to compete, it's gonna really, really help you. When you're on the mound, if you want to compete, you're not going to let anything stop you from winning. You have that mentality. It's going to help you. You get a ball hit to you at second base. That desire to compete, not to fail, to win, to get to win the play, more than the mechanics. That type of attitude is going to help you be successful.
Tools and skills. Having the tools and the skills will get attention by people who know. Like, I'm thinking baseball, people who know, man, that kid's got good skill, right? He's got good tools, he's good feet, good hands, and all that. It gains attention, but awareness wins games.
Yeah.
I mean, if you got both, you can be pretty good. But if I could only have one, I want the awareness.
Yeah. And if you're listening to the podcast right now and you think, well, I've seen a lot of, say, younger teams, but junior high teams that dominated in junior high, but once they got to high school, they weren't as good. Like, maybe they were at junior high and everyone was talking about they're going to be great, they're going to be a great team, and they get to high school, they weren't as successful. I believe one of the main culprits to that is this awareness that we're talking about, because what they did, they had the talent, they had the skill, and they were advanced, and they were better than everybody else that they were playing, and that's how they won. But as you continue to advance in level, your level of competition advances, everybody has that skill.
Yeah.
Or at least mostly, the skill seems to level out. And it's the people that understand the game more, that have that desire to compete, that, that are ready, anticipating. It's those teams that are more successful in high school. And, obviously as you get older than that would be true too, I would say. Yeah.
Sure.
Because, Division I college level, I mean, there's honestly, D2, D3. If you're at that level, you have skill.
Yes.
You have, and probably really good mechanics in most cases, and and a lot of times, you'll have that desire too. You almost have to survive. But that talent is it levels out. There's more talent across the board in those levels. So.
Yeah. Your talent is, if to think about the difference of it, talent is going to show up in the things that we do in practice, like in the batting cage. Talent's going to show up there. You're going to see talent there, right? Awareness is going to show up in the 7th inning of a close game when you're in the batter's box.
Or just period in live situation.
Yeah.
'Cause I've seen that. Like I think this is a big talking point on Twitter and social media. Like this you see people selling this idea of your kid's great in the cage, but when he gets in the game, he's horrible. Why is that? This is what you need to do. I think it just comes down to what we're talking about. I think that's what it. I mean, there's kids get nervous,
right?
They get focused, right. But that's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Is not having that nervous.
One of the ways to deal with that. Yeah, one of the ways to deal with those nerves is to have this is to build the awareness, right? The situational awareness of the game that you're playing.
Yep.
I mean, like we were just talking about basketball, and you watch kids on the basketball floor, and you just know, like, I like watching kids when they don't have the ball, and just you can just see a kid that just moves. He knows where to get to the open spot on the floor. It's like, and they can anticipate, right? If that ball comes to me, I know. You want to be able to be a triple threat, right? I want to be able to drive or shoot or pass, and they've got it. They've got it. And others sometimes will grab the ball and they'll go right here with it and they'll start doing this, and
they've eliminated
they don't have it.
Three,
yeah. That's the idea.
Yeah, and I think using that as an example, you can drill that. Like as a drill, you could drill that at home, getting in a triple threat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can drill that at home, but it's different in the heat of the game. It's different when you have a defender on you. It's different when the score is 50-48. It's different when there's a crowd. There's a lot of differences that come in there. So it makes it tougher. It makes it more difficult to do that. So you have you have to simulate that as best as you can.
Yeah.
In practice. So I think. I've thought about that a lot. I guess, prior to this, I know we've talked about it in the last several weeks. I just think it ties in really well. Like this is something that I'm trying to accomplish is generating that awareness, baseball IQ by, my idea of putting them through. And, you said it maybe before I did that you wanted to scrimmage more, to have a scrimmage situations, but not necessarily just straight up scrimmage, but
controlled scrimmage. You set it up. Yeah.
So I think that awareness is what we're chasing in these situations. So,
and we're in it right now. I mean, let's be honest. One of the reasons why we're talking about this because this is what
hopefully don't.
This is where we're at. We're thinking about this. We're practicing it. We're trying to get guys ready, and this is a pretty relevant topic for you and me right now.
Yeah, and I would like to know people's thoughts on this thought too. I feel like once you get in the season, your mechanic work, you still want to do it. You still want to stay crisp and do things. But you're probably not changing much from a mechanic perspective once the season starts. I mean, that's something you do from the end of the season to the beginning of the season.
Yes,
work on those mechanics and fundamentals so that you get the reps, because it takes the reps to do it.
Yeah.
But once you get in the season, you're limited on what you can do to improve that or positively impact it. So, I think that's we've done a lot of live bullpens so far. And here's the thing, we've done a lot of just standard BP in the past, and I don't know how much it's helped, because I've seen guys look good in the cage, but then get up there and face a pitcher and not look as good.
Yeah,
not seem ready, not being able to anticipate the speed, the timing, the ball moving in different spots, and not knowing where it's going to be, whether it's up or down or in or out. Curveball, change it, whatever it is. So I feel like, I've put a lot of emphasis on those situations in practice this year. And in our off season, we've done a lot of live bullpens.
I almost look at standard BP, like coach pitch BP, is to me similar to hitting off a tee today. I mean, granted it's different. The ball's moving, but it's not at all like what the game is. And people say, why do you hit off a tee? It's not what you do in a game. Well, you trying to create a repetitive motion, right? I want to be able to repeat and duplicate this. Once I get the feel, then that's, those are some of the reasons why you do that. You learn how to hit certain pitches in certain locations. When you've got BP, I think you're doing that. And it's like, I'm like you. We used to do a lot of most of our BP used to just be coaches pitching it. Mm-hmm. It's rarely that now for us. I mean, before a game, yes, we do. Sometimes we just have a day where that's what we do, But like last year, 75% of our batting practice was off the hack attack.
Right.
Once we got into the game, the season before that, it was hack attack / live bullpen. We're doing live pins tonight, right? Live at bat bullpens. Pitchers are throwing, guys are hitting. That's what you do in a baseball game, and I'm with you there. I feel like more and more baseball practice needs to be that.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think the downside of that is you feel like you're not accomplishing much because maybe in a
you're not getting as many swings.
Yeah, in a 2-hour period, a guy might only get 2 or 3 at bats.
Mm-hmm.
Because you got 20 guys that you're working through that, and you're getting pitchers ready, getting catchers ready. Guy only get to, but that's a game.
Yeah,
so you're putting a game under your belt. You know what I mean? And like maybe they get in there and they take one swing and hit it. It's like, well, I just took one swing. But you hadn't. That's a legit at bat.
Yeah.
You have that experience of knowing what it's like to go up there to have one swing because maybe you swung at a pitch that you shouldn't have swung at.
Yeah.
And now you're out of the cage. So there's a learning experience to that. Man, I gotta get a better ball that I can square up if I'm gonna take that first swing. Which is what we want you to do when you get up to the plate. So that the success and failure is more like a game situation. I always have guys. Maya's bad at this. If he gets a walk, or
in live at bat, doesn't want to leave
3-0,
swing at anything. Yeah, you're creating a bad habit, buddy.
3-1.
Yeah,
you don't want to do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You got to simulate this at bat like it is. Yeah. And that pitcher has to learn too. He has to see you just walked a guy.
That's true.
You just walked another guy.
Right.
And you're gonna get a chance to get in there again.
And I'll tell you this: this approach that we've taken. It could be a lot of things. Like we prescribe these things. It's like it's either going to fix us or it's going to break us. It's probably more in between.
Yeah.
It's not going to do either. But I know there's things that you see. Like I feel like our hitting for our teams has decreased as the season went. Like we would go up, we would peak, and then at the end of the season we would decrease and stop hitting. And I think that's been true for a lot of the teams that I've coached for whatever reason. So I'm constantly thinking, well, what do we do to change this?
Yeah.
How do I fix this? But from a pitching perspective, our A3Ps when we started in November, not good. So, not the our command, our locating abilities as pitchers early was not good. Recently, since we've been doing this in live at bats, and we've been cognizant of keeping track of that, it's gotten a lot better, better. And so it's like hard for me. I think we're we're building here. I think we're improving by doing this. So I'm excited to continue to get out and do because it's the same thing to me. A live bullpen is the same thing as a controlled scrimmage.
Yeah,
you got a guy on second.
Yeah.
No 0 outs, ground ball hit to the outfield.
Yeah,
that's a defensive live at bat.
Right.
Between not between a pitcher, catcher, and hitter.
Base runners running hard.
You
got to throw hard. You got to yeah.
So I'm excited to see where that gets us. And we've got a young squad this year, so it's like you obviously want to get as ready as you can, as quick as you can, but at the same time, in the back of your mind, all these guys are going to be back next year. So, to see the improvement, and because the awareness of this group has not been good. They were a group that has, at a young age, were better than a lot of players, a lot of teams, because they could throw harder, they could swing harder, they could run faster. But their high school you said how is their high school baseball awareness? It's not very good. So that's one thing that'll either we got to get better at, and if we do, it'll help us be much more successful. If we don't, we won't be as successful as we want to be. So be interesting to see how these things help. And
It's a huge difference maker.
if I'm going back to the drawing board next year, but
we're
always doing that, aren't we?
Oh yeah,
going back to the drawing board.
Well, you try to anticipate what your team's going to be like, and then you see it, and you're like, oh, I guess we got to work on this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We caught that last year. And that was one of the things that got me thinking, because the coaches, I don't know how many times this phrase was said in our dugout throughout the season.
They should know that.
Yeah. Well, they don't.
Yep.
And that's our fault.
Yep.
So let's fix it. Let's fix it next year. So that's what we're focused on.
Yeah. Yeah. We try. That's one. I think I wrote about that in one of my books. I tried it. We got to stay away from that.
Yeah.
This is something I ought to know by now. Well, okay. How does that help us? Right? How does that phrase help us? They don't.
Yeah.
So now we've got to coach it.
Yep.
You know.
Absolutely.
And it's more of a we want to complain about something and somebody not coaching them the right way, and and it's their fault. Now we've got to deal with it. Well, no. I mean, you can make them better.
Well,
you can coach it right now.
Yeah, but I think it's just reality, because I would.
They're going to run into things that they didn't experience in youth ball.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, most youth coaches have 3 hours of practice a week with these kids.
Yep.
I mean, most practices are an hour and a half, 2 times a week.
Right.
That's so. To put it on the youth coach, I don't do that.
Yeah.
I put it on they're not students of the game anymore. They're not playing.
Sure.
We don't, as parents, as adults, we don't allow them.
Everybody owns a little bit of responsibility.
Yeah,
in here.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. As as the head of the Meg's baseball program, are you still in film?
Battery just died, I think.
So you don't have a camera now?
That's all right.
We could
Another reason to not use these anymore.
we could sign off, but it's my responsibility too.
Yeah.
To
I'll
make sure.
I'll try something here. You ready? Let's see if we can do this. Take it off of AI. Let's see how far back we can go. Oh, we can almost get me. What? Nope. Can't get us both.
I think this means
We'll stay on you.
I think this means we've
Oh, there's me.
We've talked long enough.
There we go.
Oh, technology.
Let's do that.
Is there an IT guy around here somewhere?
Yeah, I know. We're yeah. Can you help us out? So
I like to say I'm an IT specialist. There's only certain.
we're
things
close.
that
We're
I-
close. Because I'm there. You can see my hand. We'll just show the podcast studio there. We'll give everybody a view, like just a 180 or 360 view of the podcast studio here. This is it. There's the Schoonover Center. There we are. That's Court Street right there. That's Union Street actually. So
How did we get on that?
who knows? We're so distracted right now. Oh well. We will not. We apologize. We will not use these supposedly better cameras.
In most things that I thought of this as walking in, because after I was like, you can't teach it. Most things that we say you can't teach, you can't coach, you can. You just got to be creative with it. So if you see there's something like you have a complaint about, the kids that are coming into your program, kids that are on your youth team, don't use that excuse of, well, it's not something that I can coach, it's not something I can teach.
Right.
You can.
You can.
Just be intentional about it. Maybe be creative, but do some research.
Yeah, that's a good way to wrap this up, I think. Because this is sometimes, this is a topic that sometimes people will have a tendency to say, but you can't coach that.
Yeah.
Because you'll even hear that phrase too. Man, you just can't coach that.
Yeah.
But you can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's probably a limit to like people say you can't coach speed, but you can.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. At one point, someone's going to get as fast as they can be. That's
Right.
for sure. We don't really know that. So
Yeah.
you can still coach speed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Things you can improve.
Definitely.
All these things. Do it.
We will do it. Yeah.
Maybe see you next week.
Yeah, here. I'll make sure that I say goodbye to everybody. Hey, see everybody. We were almost able to get both of us. Weird. Oh, well. So what I'll do here is I will zoom in on you and then you can tell everybody goodbye.
Am I zoomed in now?
Working on it. Oh wait, sorry, I'm going the wrong way. I just zoomed in on your crotch. All right, there we go. Now you are.
My red face. See you, everyone.